think I'm gonna I think I'm gonna upset a couple people tonight
Why is that?
with the truth.
The truth always hurts, my brother.
That's all right. That's what we need, the truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Need it. You need it because then you got to reset, restart, get a better plan. That lie that person told you on Instagram is not the way it goes.
All right, we're at 14. More people are going to be coming in soon. We are live on YouTube right now. I'm going to hit the record button. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for getting right back to Temple Talk. My name is John McLeod. I'm a minister in Inspirational Church in God of Christ Jesus here with the Inspirational family. And today we have the main man that knows all about mobility, health, wealth, and everything in between. My man, my right-hand man in the CCA journey, my man Q France. Q, what's up, man?
Man, thank you for having me on here, man. You know, this is a conversation that me and you have just on a leisurely basis.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just watching you move and correcting certain things and just watching others. It's I wouldn't say that I'm a pro. I'm not in any way a doctor at this. So if I say I don't know, I will look it up and find an answer for you. If there's anything you ask me that I don't know, I will tell you I don't know. I will not lie to you. But I will give you the best of my knowledge and I will never lie to you. That's what I promise you.
My man. And we know that wherever you're coming from is from experience. It's coming from several backgrounds, several certificates, and it's something that is going to be welcomed on every single facet, and we appreciate you. I want to say we appreciate you in advance, my brother. We're so grateful and thankful to you. What we're about to do now is jump straight into it. Q, quickly, if you could give a background on how you got into fitness. You have I know the story, but for some folks that just maybe newly introduced to you, you have an interesting background. Take me through that quickly.
Yeah, so I think I couldn't avoid fitness if I tried. It was always part of my family life. You know, I grew up in the West Indies in St. Kitts, small island where like soccer is the biggest sport, like most Caribbean islands. And instead of soccer, my uncle was into basketball. So I immediately was attracted to basketball. But I realized immediately what comes along with playing these sports is staying physically fit. My father also was he's a martial artist. So he was always practicing in the backyard. So I would always watch him and idolize him at a very young age. Even my family, when I came here to New York, finally, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, went to track and field and different things. And I realized how much fitness was a part of schooling at a young age here in New York. Nowadays, I don't know what's really going on now. Kids are just sitting in gyms or in classrooms for gym, but I immediately took advantage of every possibility to run, jump, be the fastest, be the strongest. And that was my driving force. I was always that kid on the block that was the fastest kid on the block. So, so like, you know, I have uncles that were in bodybuilding. And I think I was around 13 years old. It was the first time I ever picked up a weight consistently. And my mother was upset. She was like, it's going to stunt your growth and so forth. And I'm like, you know, I enjoy it, you know, lifting, just doing curls in the house. So I started doing a little bit of weights here and there, went to the military. Well, before that, played every sport they put in front of me. I wish there were more sports. Played every sport in high school, excelled in those. Had opportunity to play college basketball, but they told me I was too short, even though I probably did the best performance I ever did in my entire life. So that was like a deterrent, but I still know that I had to stay physically fit. Went into the military, and you know, military starts with fitness. So I excelled in that aspect of it, continued going. I was stationed on a military ship, an aircraft carrier, and where there was 5 gyms in the aircraft carrier. And I used all of those gyms. During one session, during rough seas, I injured myself. I felt a pinch in my back. And I went to the doctor. The doctor said, you just have a back spasm. This is about 1993 or 4. And I went to the doctor. He just gave me a bunch of medication that kept knocking me out, putting me to sleep. So I stopped taking it. Years passed, about 6 years passed. So I've left the military already, was working in Queens, and I felt that pinch again, and I could not walk for 3 days. For 3 days, I was bedridden. Went to the hospital. They gave me more pills. And I'm like, I'm not going to take these things because they make me very, very drowsy. And I don't like that feeling. I feel like a drug addict. I didn't like that feeling at all. So I went to a friend, a coworker's chiropractor, and he started me on a different mission. I started seeing fitness differently. He said, lose a little bit of weight. He said, try to lose 10 pounds and start doing a lot more body weight exercises. He assumed, because I was a bigger person, I was about 200 pounds at the time, but muscle. And he assumed that I did a lot of weightlifting, which I did, but I also incorporated a lot of calisthenics and body weight movements. And I just dropped the weights for a while, except for maybe my legs or something like that. And I lost the 10 pounds, started doing yoga, and it changed my life. To this day, I'm not on those medications anymore. I started to pretty much practice what I preach. I don't teach anybody anything that I haven't experienced myself. And I absorb as much information as I possibly can from teachers, from literature. And if I have questions, I reach out to people that I know that are experts in the field just to give me a little more clarity so I can give that information to everybody that I teach.
I love that. And one of the things that that sticks out to me is that you went through a pain, you went through the clinical way of doing it, and then you got somebody who told you how to do it naturally and how to fix yourself. And you lost some weight, you went about it a different way, and it changed your way of thinking, and you implemented that into your way of thinking. When we had our first inspirational reps, where we went out into what they call 21's Park, aka Jackie Robinson Park, right on Malcolm X, right off of Malcolm X and Chauncey, I believe. And you taught us some things that was, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm sure some of the other brothers will agree. That is the first time where I was struggling, and it wasn't because I was fatigued from doing push-ups and pull-ups.
Yeah.
And it all had to do with what we're here to talk about today, mobility training. And you spoke about how important it is for your body to be functional and to move and to be able to be mobile by doing these things. Can you go into the basics of mobility training and who it affects?
Sure. So first of all, let me define mobility. Mobility, the easiest definition is what your body is capable of doing. The range of motion that your body has naturally, as opposed to stretching, which is the potential, the full potential of what your body's capable of doing. So picture somebody doing a split, a full split. Like right now, I know I can't do a split, right? But at one point I did, but I was through continuous practice and forcing myself to lower, you know? So mobility is how far you're able to go right now. And stretching is the long-term goal if you continue that practice. So your natural mobility can also improve with continued practice. Now, that day, I specifically, because I realized that it was going to be a bunch of men, right? And I was like, okay, they're going to think that I'm going to come and do a bunch of pull-ups and push-ups. We're going to be there sweating and screaming and grunting and carrying on. I'm going to break them down to the simplest of movements. Because what we realize as we get older is we start off life crawling and learning to walk and learning to roll over and all of these things. As we get older, now all of these things we've been training to do all of our lives, standing, sitting, walking upstairs, and all these things have become so regular to us. Now sitting on the floor becomes difficult. Crawling becomes difficult because we don't practice those.
Yeah.
But when you can't crawl out the bed quick enough and you don't have the mobility to get into certain movements, it makes your life that much harder. So I broke them down to literally like child. We were doing child play. We were crawling around on the floor, crouching as low as we possibly can, and reaching and twisting and just seeing what the body's capable of doing. And in that simple practice, everybody was sweating and struggling because it's difficult. Yeah, it's definitely difficult. And that's the thing that I like to do. I don't like people to do anything that they're comfortable with, because there's good and bad that comes with that. Like just standing up in our posture, we get pains from doing something that we do all the time. Needless to say, everybody looks at their phone, so your head is always down like this.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing more of that than you're doing more of this. So you're hunched over, your shoulders are collapsed, and you're like this. So your body's more used to that than the opposite, where your shoulders roll back and your head is pushed back, your chin is back. So you start to get pains in your shoulders and your neck. Then it transfers to your lower back and your thoracic spine. Then all of a sudden that pain starts shooting around your hip. You know, and it's all from bad practice. So you have to move your body in both directions, and we're focused on one direction. We're focused on, most of the time, it's the flex instead of the extension. So I like to take people into the extension more so they can see the benefits of it, because it's not something theoretical. Like when you do it, you don't say, oh, you know, that gave me a good, put me in the right mental state. You feel it. You feel the difference. Like if I was to tell you to stand up, roll your shoulders back, put your head back, and I tell you to relax, chances are you're going to start rolling your shoulders back forward again. Yeah. Because that's what you're accustomed to. And my job is to reset you and let you know to check in with your body and put yourself in your proper alignment. Keyword yours, because yours doesn't look like mine.
Yeah.
And anybody else.
So how do we tell, like, you know, how do we tell where we are and then where we need to be? Because those are two different things. Because if you don't know where you currently are, how do we do that check? Then if we can't plot a course to where we think we should be, we'll start doing the exercise and hoping that it's better. So for somebody that doesn't know, how do we figure out what is the test we do to our bodies, ourselves? What is the exercise to figure out where we are? And then how do we build that out to where we need to be?
All right, so we're going to start, well, needless to say, that's a whole bunch of different body parts involved. So we'll start with posture, which is the most common, the most underestimated thing as far as what you need to do with yourself. Everybody's standing around with their head down or their shoulders come forward. So everybody watching now, you could do this right now, sitting down, standing, wherever you are. Just sit up as high as you can. That means getting your butt back in your seat, as far back to the chair. Yep. Scoot back. Now put both feet firmly on the ground, evenly. So look down, make sure your toes are in line.
All right. I'm good. Yep.
Now you take your shoulders, you roll them back slightly, nothing too extreme, and just give your chin a slight poke. And to check in to make sure your chin is not too far back. You hear my voice change? That's too far back. So somewhere in between where you were and uncomfortable is just that. Now, everything I just showed you, if it's your first time doing it, that's the check-in. Because that is how you decide where the difference is. Because if this feels different than what you're used to doing when you sit in front of your computer, then you have to start thinking about that. You have to consciously think about that, especially when you sit in front of a computer all day. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna show you some correctives that you can do to help the situation. But this is where you start. You start checking in on your posture, saying, is my chest up, my shoulders back? So pretty much like standing at attention. Your chest, so you do a check-in. And remember, you don't have to be extreme with it. You don't need a mirror. You don't need anybody to see you. If you want to, you can stand against a wall and do it. You know, put your shoulders against the wall, put your butt against the wall, and then put your back of your head against the wall. See how that feels. And then step away from the wall and see how that feels to be in that position. And then count to 10 and see if your body changes.
I automatically I'm not a very good case study because you've told me this so many times. It's in my subconscious. So now I'm like, I feel comfortable sitting like this, but I do. To your point, even though I know about it, or you've told me about it, my body naturally goes back to here because like you said, we were trained to do that over and over. Gravity pulls us forward, and we go into a comfortable position. Now, so now we've dealt with somewhat doing a mobility check because what, let me confirm, this check works for anybody, any age, correct?
Absolutely. As long as they're able to do the movement. If you have it in your body to do the movement, then yes, it works. Because remember, everybody's not the same. Some people some people might feel discomfort in this position.
Yeah.
As comfortable as it is for somebody, it may be very uncomfortable for other people. When I had the most extreme pain in my lower back, I couldn't sit upright. I had to rest my elbows on something because it was too much stress on my lower spine. So it all depends on the body. Now that wasn't necessarily a mobility check because we're not moving any range of motion.
Yeah.
We're just adjusting our posture in this movement.
Okay. So now we attacked what we do on a regular basis, especially everybody's working from home. Unless you literally work standing up, you're in a seat.
Yeah.
So now, folks, everybody listening, slight recap is we know how to fix our posture when sitting in a chair. And actually, to be honest, for me, it actually feels a lot better because it takes the strain off of my hamstrings from sitting in a position for so long, and I start to feel that ache. So we adjusted. We got the information for that. So now, Q, for maybe people that aren't as active, where should they start with improving their mobility?
Well, I always say one of the key things to start with is the areas that are the most problematic. And once we turn late 30s, 40s, the hips are a major issue for most people.
Yeah,
because we're sitting down a lot of the time. And the hips is one of the things I focus on because I do train especially men. I train men for hips a lot. If I train any male, I usually get them to get down in this, what we call a deep squat, which is like one of the most key things that you could do for your hip. And it's been scientifically proven that a healthier hip means a longer life.
Wow.
Because I know friends that are in their 30s that have had hip surgeries, and they had to get hip surgery because they was playing video games for 20 years of their life, sitting down or laying down on the floor, putting their body in bad positions and getting tight hips. And remember, focusing on one position instead of the other position. Sitting is not good for long periods of time. If you're sitting in an office for 8 hours and at least 7.5 of those hours are spent sitting, you're doing your body a disservice. You need to get up every once in a while, at least every hour, and just get up. And for 30 seconds, you stretch in the opposite direction, which just literally means standing up. In most cases, standing up, doing remember, because if you're sitting, your hips are flexed in this position. So this is your position when you're sitting. So you need to stand up straight and possibly flex it the opposite way. Right? Yeah. And then you have to consciously remember that, that, because remember, and then think about this. You're sitting at work for 8 hours and you get up, run out of the office and go sit in your car.
Yep.
And you drive for up to an hour, depending, 2 hours if you're John.
Yeah, right.
Right. And you go home, make dinner or whatever you have, just sit down and eat dinner, then sit down and watch TV. And then you go lay down, go to sleep, and you do this again for 5, it's maybe 7 days a week. Again,
for several years.
Not enough time. Yeah, for many, many years. So not enough time flexing in the opposite direction. You're not using your mobility at all because you're sitting down. And you're resting on a chair. So now it's just you and gravity. So now it's a good time to start adding. And remember, this only takes but a couple of minutes, few minutes of your day, right? Before we close, I'm gonna definitely show you some actual movements that you can do. But just consider
that was a question in the chat. Like, what are some daily practices we should do to increase hip health?
So the one basic one is if you sit too much, stand up. Every hour, every 30 minutes or so, get up, stand up, and do that stretch. I mean, like, you've seen it all the time. When you're tired, you get up. That is the opposite of sitting. But you do that and hold it for 30 seconds. You rest and do it 3 times for 30 seconds each. And now you are moving your body in the way that it should be moved, both directions.
Both directions. Okay.
And that's just sitting. That works with your ankles, your hips, shoulders, everything else. You sit like this all day. You need to, wait a minute.
So what are some other things we could do for hip health?
For
hip health?
Yeah, so actually I'll just show you. We're gonna switch. All right. Now we're gonna do some movements. All
right, let's go.
All right, I'm gonna switch the camera so I can get a better angle. All right, so remember your hips, sitting. Let me turn this up. Actually, I'll use the chair.
So folks, make sure you pay attention to this because this might be something I haven't even seen.
So remember, you're sitting there all day like this, bad posture. Quick and easy. Reset, bring your shoulders down, and just hold this for 30 seconds. Palms up, yeah. Hold that for 30 seconds. This is not for your hips. This is just to correct your sitting posture first.
Gotcha.
Right? And stand up. Get to the back of your chair or desk, something that isn't going to move. You stand, chair here, and a slight bend. Just to feel that flex throughout your hip here. You'll feel it might feel it in your quads, might feel it in your lower abs a little bit. But just 30 seconds, you breathe through it because everything needs a breath. That tests your level of comfort in that pose. Just like yoga, they always tell you to breathe through the pose. So here you might feel uncomfortable, you might be shortness of breath. You have to ease off of it a little bit. Take a deep breath. Exhale, let gravity do the work. Hold it for 30 seconds, reset. Now you go sit again. Now, other things you can do while sitting. Right? Is if you have it in your body, right? Cross one leg over. Right? Now, while it's crossed, to protect the knee, you have to flex this foot. So it comes this way. Right?
Okay.
So your foot is flexed. This helps protect your knee.
How does it do that?
Because it tenses this muscle right here.
The shin. The muscle behind the shin, the bone.
Absolutely. And this helps protect the knee. It needs that tension to help support the knee. Loosely, that means it's free to do whatever it wants. Now it has protection. Right? So flex that foot to protect the knee. Take this hand. Don't force it. Don't force anything. And you just give it a little bit of
adding pressure.
Add a little bit of pressure. You'll feel it. You should feel it immediately in your hip, right? Right. But what I want you to focus on is leaning forward slightly. And now this will relieve a little tension in your lower back. This is a hip opener, of course. You're moving your hip externally. So you do this pose. You can do this sitting down. And again, your posture You don't want to collapse. You want straight back. Crown of your head rises, as they say. Cross this leg, add a little bit of pressure, and you hinge. This is called a hinge, when your back is straight and you're leaning forward. You might only move centimeters, you might only move inches, but that's your movement. You will feel it under your leg, near your glutes, possibly in your lower back, but nothing should hurt as far as pain, excruciating pain. There's a difference between pain and just a little muscle strain or the flexion that you feel. So cross the leg, flex the foot, that protects the knee, not too much pressure on this knee, and you just slightly come forward, breathe through it, 30 seconds, relax, take the foot down if you want, shake it off, go back to it. Do it 3 times while you're sitting at work, while you're watching TV. While you're watching TV, instead of sitting there like this, watching the game, cross your legs. If you're on the train, you ever see those people on the train that have their legs crossed? They're ahead of the game. They figured it out. Now, some people might be able to cross their legs like this. It's a different stretch. This one might be a little more comfortable. This is why I said put your ankle where your knee is, but not necessarily on this knee. Little further back. Feel it out, see what's comfortable for you. But again, flex that leg, and then you lean forward. You feel it. Like my left side is lighting up right now. And then you just ease off it. 30 seconds. Those are 2 easy ones.
Okay, so now you sat in that pose like it was nothing. And I said to myself, "Dude, I'm not doing that today. That's not happening today. We're gonna have to try that when nobody's around."
I do that daily. I do it. I really do it. And I've been focused on it a lot too. And it has helped me tremendously. It helped me do this. Now, this is ideally what I teach right here. This is deep squat, right? Like you see like pictures and videos and stuff like that with the Asian gurus and different people like just in Asia, just waiting around for buses like this. Being able to sit in this pose can almost cure your chances of ever getting hip surgery.
Wow.
With just that pose.
And that is the deep child squat, because my Jackson, my son, and even my daughter Abigail, they both do that squat like it's nothing.
Man, you do not stop them.
Back up. No, I don't, because it's impeccable. I mean, I get down there for half a second, but then I have to get back up because my body is not just used to that. So the ultimate goal, you just led us to the next version of hip health. The ultimate goal is to be able to get into a deep squat on a regular basis without strain or pain, correct?
Right. Now, there's other things you can do to get into the pose comfortably and still get the same effects. You get a yoga block or a small bench, steps in your house, and you know that you can sit in this chair comfortably. You want something lower than this chair, right? So I'm going to demonstrate. You can also do this. You also can do this against a wall, but the wall is for people that are more comfortable with, with their leg strength. So if you do it against a wall, first of all, don't do it with socks on.
Yeah, because you will be on that floor.
This thing will be over in a matter of seconds if I would have done it in these socks. So it's just like a wall squat that you may have seen, but you start to allow yourself to sink a little more. It's a little challenging also. You sink until you get to a point where you can't, when you feel the discomfort or feels too much, and then you could just put your hands on the floor and come out of it. But the easier way is to get a block.
Okay, I'm with you there. I need to get there. I'm one day at a time.
Block.
Okay.
You get a yoga block, or you get stairs in your house. You got some stairs in your house in your building. So you just need something lower than a chair to sit on. So you get your heels close to the block and you just sit. And again, posture up, back against the wall. You want good posture and you allow yourself to sink. This gets too comfortable, you find something lower. Take a block away. Now you're sitting here. You still feel activation in your hip because your hip is like, wait a minute, we haven't been in this position for in ever. So that said, you can sit on this block and watch TV.
Yeah.
You're not going to watch a bunch of reality shows. Try 15, 10, 5 minutes sitting in this position while you watch your show. Your body will love it. Now, there's another way to do this.
Okay, here we go.
There's 100 ways to do this, first of all. I'm about to show you about 6. The other way to do this is you lay on your back. And if you see it already,
oh yeah,
you know what I'm about to do. So, lay on your back, feet against the floor now. I mean, against the wall. You try to get your knees and ankles the same height, and you just kind of scoot your way closer and closer to the wall. And there you are in the same position without the gravity, but you're still getting that opening. You still go, while you're in this position here now, you can put your elbows against your knees, get a little wider, spread the hips open even wider now.
Wow.
You see? And now it's a more comfortable position.
Yeah, that's way more comfortable and way more. I'm sure a lot of people on here now, watching on YouTube and in the chat over here, could definitely do it that way.
Yeah, they're like, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. I'll show you one more.
Okay, let's go.
You can do this one in the bed. When you wake up, it's especially good. No, you can do it when you go to bed too. When you go to bed or when you wake up in the morning or before you get out of bed. Aisha does this every morning. So again, same position. But now you're going to flip it over.
Okay.
Now you're on your stomach. So it's all fours. Right?
Okay.
Knees down. Remember, I'm on the bed. I'm doing it on the floor, but we're doing this on the bed.
Gotcha.
So softer on your knees.
Yep.
Right? And you let your legs come wider. Let your knees come a little wider. Sit back.
Whew.
And then you just lower your body. The goal is to push yourself with your hands backwards. So you're here, you want to get back here. So the wider your knees are and the farther back your hips are, the more you'll feel it. But now you're doing it in the bed. You just, again, 30 seconds, you release.
Yep.
Or straighten your legs. And then 30 seconds again, 3 times. Now your hips are ready to walk.
See, that's like everybody's loving it in the chat right now because this is something that they could do immediately. And that's what we're about in Temple Talk here. We want to make sure that you're educated to take immediate action. And this is phenomenal. We can't appreciate you enough, Q. So now we've gone through chair posture and sitting. We've disrupted the mental habit of sitting for hours by taking several breaks to stand up and to stretch, go get behind your chair on the desk and stretch your hips. And then we went deeper into hip health and started to different ways to increase the range of motion in your hips that are not drastic movements. You should never feel pain. You should never feel too much strain. It should only be uncomfortable, and you're only doing it for 30 seconds, 3 times, and you relax and whatever you need to do to keep it moving, keep it fluid, and keep it oiled up, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely.
And then now we're into the point where there's several things you can do, whether it's crouching on the bed on all fours and bending into the hip, laying on your back against the wall and inching your way to the wall, or if you're advanced, you can sit in a wall sit and get deeper into the pose, or sit on a very low stool or a yoga block or some kind of heavy or something that can hold you up below a chair.
Even a basketball, a ball, kids' toy. Like if they have a nice truck, stable, just something lower than the chair.
Awesome. That's perfect, because now we could take those things and we could kind of get creative, so we could kind of put it into practice immediately. So now we go from hip health now So let's go to lower back pain. Now, and obviously we know everything is connected through the body. The body's connected. It's one body, and it's different things that can affect lower back pain. But how do we, in a sense, deal with lower back pain, fix it, and get rid of it?
See, with lower back pain, the key thing is to the most support that you have for your lower back is in your core. Now, I say core, not your abs. Six-pack abs does not protect your back. Six-pack abs is an aesthetic thing. You get that from good dieting, a lot of cardio, and consistency. That necessarily does not give you a strong back. But if you have a strong core, to build a strong core, you have to do exercises that focuses on your trunk, right? And also your gait, what you call the gait. Your gait is your abs, lower back, quads, hamstrings, and your glutes, of course. All of these things help protect this area of your body, which is the center of your power, right? So it's good to focus on this. One of the key things you can do for your core, which will also help your lower back, is also one of the key things that may hurt your lower back, which is a plank, right? A proper plank instead of crunches is probably way better for you in the long run than just doing hundreds and thousands of crunches. You know, because again, the crunch is a exercise for your abs, just like doing a bicep curl is exercise for your bicep. Doesn't necessarily protect your back, right? Your lower back is usually, again, it's hips and your lower back. Probably the lower back with more than the hips in most people that you wind up in the hospital. Well, not the hospital. I ain't gonna say the hospital. You wind up in the doctor and say, "Oh, I got lower back pain." And again, it's because you're focusing too much on putting your body in one position. The body is meant to move. So if you're constantly putting it in the same position, again, sitting in the car, sitting in the house, sitting everywhere. Sometimes don't sit. I have a standing desk at work now, and I'm ecstatic about this. I'm ecstatic. At first, I didn't think too much about it, and my boss, we just moved to a new office. I have the standing desk. I don't think I'm using my chair ever again. just to give myself that challenge, just to see if I could do it. If I could last a work day without sitting, because I know I'm going to sit on the train, sit in the car when I leave. So my sitting will be there. So let me see if I can try standing for a while. But as far as the lower back goes, you have to move it. And one of the key ways to move it is up, down, side to side, in every direction that it goes. We're just used to moving it in one direction, right? You get up in the morning, you come up and you go and brush your teeth, you're still standing with it. And you're not necessarily standing like this. You've probably been standing like this most of the day, right? Now, gravity is taking your big head and your shoulders this way, but your spine needs it to be here, right? And you're doing it a disservice. So that said, you should also be moving it this way and this way, along with this way and that way. So when you're at work and you get up from your sitting position, incorporate those movements. So now you stand, you check your posture, you roll your shoulders back, you keep your head straight, you stand here for 30 seconds. Keep your feet balanced, see where your feet need to be, not too close together, about hip distance apart. Make sure they're comfortable. Make sure all 4 points, when I say all 4 points, meaning all of your heel, where the big toe is, where the small toe is, make sure they're all flat and pressing and gripping the floor almost. Hips, squeeze your glute a little bit, see what that feels like. Up straight, look forward, shoulders roll back. And now after that, you take a forward fold. To start the forward fold, you just don't drop down and do it, right? Like you get out of the bed. I've hurt my back more times just picking up something that I dropped accidentally. And why is that? Because my back was not prepared for the movement. My back has been stiff in this position for so long that doing this is not beneficial anymore. And that's where you get hurt most of the time. You rush to do something that your body is not ready to do and it's not warmed up to do. Now, that said, most people that do physical fitness training and stuff like that, they understand that you got to get warmed up. Let me go do some jumping jacks first before I go do this movement. Nobody says, let's go do jumping jacks before I pick my child up. Right? But
that's different.
That's a movement that your body's not ready for. So consciously knowing, I didn't do this yet. Maybe I should move slower as I do it. Maybe I should bend my knees more when I bend over because my hamstrings aren't ready for it. This is why a lot of these athletes get hurt, because they get rich, they get comfortable, they miss training sessions, they don't warm up, they don't do the necessary mobility work to allow them to move optimally. So you stand here. These are the movements that you do when you stand up from your chair. You come up, head first, look down, chin to your chest, roll, as they say, vertebrae at a time, and you roll down slowly, slowly, slowly. As you're moving slowly, you feel for anything that hurts. And if it hurts, guess what? Stop. Simple as that, stop. Because that's your body telling you something's wrong. You have to listen to your body. Look down, curl, 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 and go as far as you can go. Don't mind my mobility. Focus on yours. If it's here, that's where you need to be. You stay here and you just let gravity do the work, breathe through it, and then you roll back up the same exact way. Now, 2 hands behind your back, facing down if you can, and then just give a slight back bend. Pushing, not pushing, but just bringing your hips forward. So you bring it as much forward as you can. Maybe the head goes back a little bit and you hold. So now you just move your spine in this direction, that direction, side to side, same thing. You take one arm, slowly, and the opposite side. Again, 30 seconds, and this time you can just switch right to the opposite side. 3 times. If it feels good, do it more. Do a couple more times. Your body will like the added mobility. So that's sitting down. From sitting down to proper posture while sitting, to standing, to a possible squat, to some spine articulation. That will help the mobility of your lower back.
That's phenomenally said. For more reasons than you possibly know. I'll say for me, I, by the grace of God, haven't gotten the pinch in the back or anything like that, because in my head, I'm so conscious of, like, all right, let me not lift a certain way, because I know that sharp. I know. Let me say this. I know what it feels like, and I do everything to avoid it. We have a couple of questions in the chat. That says, how long should you stay in a plank position?
Again, I always say 10. I always say start with 10 for everything. Everything I do, I always tell everybody start with 10. If you need a number, start with 10. If you can hold it for 10 seconds, add another 10 seconds. Until you can do 30 seconds. and then possibly a minute. That can be your goal. A lot of talk is there's a lot of talk about setting goals and what is your whys and all of these things. And that can be just walking around without pain. Improving your ability. If you say, hey, I can't touch my toes today, that can be fixed. That can be fixed in a matter of months, just with practice. Now, before I show you the plank, like I said, you start with 10 seconds. If that's difficult, it's okay. It's okay if it's difficult. That means, okay, I have a challenge. You don't say, it's too hard, I got to quit. No. It's challenging now. And there's always a way to regress it. Let's start with the chair. Again, right? So a plank, in essence, is just keeping your body in that same position we started with, that good posture. This same posture is what you need to be in the plank for it to work optimally. The only difference is you're going to get more engagement from your core. You might get engagement from your quads, and you're going to be feeling it in your shoulders, because your shoulders are going to be what's stabilizing you. But your plank may be this. That might be your plank, And while in this, your feet stable, but you want to tighten that core. You want to tighten your actual abs this time. Tighten it up, keep it stable. You don't want in your shoulders to be up here. You want them down with your arms in front of you. Arms locked out, and this may be your plank. This may be difficult for some people. That's not challenging enough. I can start with the lower part of the chair. Same thing. Find where you need to put your hands to be stable, and you want your wrist and shoulders in line. So not back here, but more here. Changes it. And then the feet go back. You want to squeeze your heels together. Squeeze your quads, which is right here. Squeeze them, lock them out, squeeze them. Keep your feet together. And then you squeeze your butt, squeeze your stomach, and then you hold here. Again, not like this, not like this. Try to get one straight line from your heel to your knee, to your hip, to your shoulders, to the top of your head is one straight line, as if you're standing. So you hold here. Then eventually you get to the floor or your bed. Let's not
underestimate the comfortability of doing an exercise in your bed.
That's right. You can do all this before you get out of bed, or while you're sitting in it watching TV during the commercial break. So let me get down here. So first, let's get to regressions. You don't have to be here.
Oh,
I knew it was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, as soon as you went down to the plank, so did the camera. The camera was like, "Oh, I'm not with that."
All right, here we go. All right, reach down. You don't have to start with this one. You can start on your knees. So knees are down. And again, because your knees are down, same alignment. One straight line. Knee, hip, shoulders, top of the head. One straight line. To know that you're there, lay flat. Lay flat. This is where you want to be. Get your elbows under you. Press up. Still have that alignment. Still activated. You're lower. You can also do it up here. Not here. Not here. One straight line. And eventually, here or here. Now, that's only one direction. You also have the sides. Your core wraps all the way around.
I can't stand those side planks.
But now, I'm going to show you the regressions to it. And again, you can do this on the bed. Hopefully your bed is not super, super soft to where you just sink. But even if it's soft, you can still feel that activation just by pulling the hips up a little bit. So I'll give you two regressions. One is with the leg straight, take this leg, plant it here, and you just lift. This is one, right? So this leg is supporting you, elbow supporting you. Try to keep your elbow in line with the heel that's stretched out, and your head is looking forward. Because again, everything has to look like you're standing up. one straight line, right? Do that both sides, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, until it's difficult. Challenge yourself. 1 week is 10 seconds, next week, 20 seconds, build up to it. The other one is both knees bent. This arm could be here, just as long as it's not twisting you. And you're opened up to that wall. Not to the floor, not to the sky, to the wall in front of you.
Gotcha.
There you go. Now you got planks on both sides.
Okay, so now we got planks on both sides, and that'll lead into the next question. So we got planks on both sides. We got how to, and this all stems from we went into core and how to strengthen your lower back to remove lower back pain. Indication of lower back pain is weakness in your core. So if we strengthen your core, you can, unless there's something else going on with your back,
right?
There's may be an injury or a disc or something. That's not a core problem. That's a back problem.
Yes, and you go see a doctor for that.
Yes, go see a doctor. Definitely go see a doctor for that. But most importantly, if you're feeling back pain on a regular basis, like an ache, I used to feel an ache. I couldn't make it up and down the basketball court at work one time because the ache was so bad. I started doing core exercises, and we spoke about this last week with Dr. B, doing exercises that work your transversus line muscle in the abdominals, because that is the strength line that makes your core strong. Not to cue your point, not the six-pack abs. Just because somebody is ripped doesn't mean their core is strong. It just means their core is shown, and that's the difference in it. So now you have these strength exercises like the plank. What are some other core strengthening exercises and trunk exercises that can strengthen your core to help fix posture, hip health, and mobility?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what you shouldn't be doing.
All right, let's start there.
A lot of people go to the gym and they do leg lifts and think that it strengthens their lower abs.
Okay.
There's no such thing as lower and upper abs.
There's only one, like an accordion, right?
Yeah, your abs are like this bicep. There's a top and lower part of it, lower and top and lower, but you can't necessarily focus on the top and lower because it moves in unison. So all these leg lifts that you're doing, and you're like, oh, I'll do those because those are easier. You're not working what you think you are. You're working a muscle called the psoas muscle, which is what's lifting your leg. That's one thing I have to point out, because I know a lot of people that's their go-to. I'm just going to do a bunch of those. And when they do it,
that's my go-to. That's my go-to. So let me ask you then. Let me ask you a quick question then. Because one of the ways I was taught in science was like indication, and Dr. B told me last week that I wasn't necessarily wrong, and it's a good way to look at it. When you're working your transversus, indication is like you fatigue in your quads. Is that correct?
When you're working
say you work your abs. So you work your abs, and you're doing something like a leg lift, not like knees to your chest, but your whole legs, and your quads start burning. Isn't that indication of working the transversus muscle, the strength line? Or is it okay? So what? Then talk to me. Then what is it?
Not necessarily, because remember, where did you say you felt it?
In my quads. That's
what you're working.
Even if I feel it in my abs as well?
Yes.
Like the fatigue is coming from the abs, but I started feeling it in my quads first. Right. But the abs hurt more.
Yeah, but you see what you said. Remember, this is about a feel. Now, your body has secondary ways of assisting itself, right? Okay. So you may start doing it and feeling it in your quads. But as soon as you start feeling it someplace else, that means this is giving out and it's asking for help from someplace else. Mm. So you started off working your quad, and now you're working your abs. And now they're both working in unison to accomplish the job, right? What you need to focus on is exercises that focus on one thing,
okay,
not multiple things. to achieve that goal. Do you know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
yeah, so like again, a lot of this is feel. If you feel something that's supposed to be working your abs and you feel it someplace else, it's because you're not. Or you might have to shorten the movement, or like again, those leg lifts, you can accomplish the same thing by not bringing your leg all the way down, but holding it in a position and curling your abs up.
Ah.
So now you're working your abs. Yeah, so you hold your legs
like an L sit.
Right. So you hold, so you like you're holding here instead of like pushing it down. You're holding here, and now you're curling here. You're pulling from your lower abs. You're pulling from there instead of that jerking actual movement of your leg. But I'm talking about hanging. Sitting down is different.
Yeah.
Is a lot different. But if you're hanging from something and you have your knees at 90 degrees and then you're curling your hips under you, and if you look at it, it looks like you're doing a crunch. Now you're working more of your abs and not your psoas. Your psoas is holding your legs up as your abs do the work.
Got you. Okay, so that helps clarify quite a few things for me personally. So what are some exercises we can do to strengthen your core in the trunk?
I mean, there's in the plank position, you can do reaches. There's reaches. You can do crunches while in the plank position. Because remember, as you're holding it, you don't have to stay in that position. You can also use your legs. Mountain climbers is a good one.
Oh yeah.
So now we got here again. We're gonna use the chair again. So now here we're gonna slow everything down too.
All right.
Which is my favorite thing.
Good.
Some time and attention. So here's a drill that you can do when you get bored with this. So you hold this for 10 seconds. Well, not 10. You hold it until you start to feel it in your abs. You start to get a little trembling, but here, not here, or in your legs. You want to feel it here. So you start to feel that fatigue, and then what you do is bring one knee to your left elbow and hold that for 10 seconds. And then bring it back. And then you take that same knee, bring it to your right elbow, and bring it back. Then you take it and bring it as close to your nose as possible, and bring it back. And then you do that on the other leg. That can be done on the floor. That can be done again in the bed. But that's keeping the tension and then moving away or closer to add extra activation from your core. You can also do while in a plank or high push-up. So you're in a push-up position and you get a block and you move it from side to side. So you grab it here, move it over. Same thing, grab and slide it. All of these things. But remember, the key part is you're holding that plank position. You're just adding some twist to it. And these are all just added things. If you just stick with the plank, that's the core of the movement. The plank is the core of the movement. Another thing you can do while you're standing is activate your core, or sitting. Sit, tighten your core, hold it, really, really tighten it. Like just squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. That's a workout in itself. You can do it standing, you can do it sitting, but try that for 10, 30 seconds as you sit down. Because to do that, you should be in proper alignment again. So as you sit upright, tighten that core. Don't crunch, but just tighten it. See how long you can hold it tightened, and then release it.
Okay, man, let me tell you, I got more weapons on this thing, man, than I even thought. Yeah, I didn't think, I always think I'm gonna learn something when I talk to you, but I didn't think I was gonna learn this much tonight. I'm sure a lot of, given by the questions that came through the chat, a lot of people are taking a bunch of stuff away. One person even said, you need a show. So we might work on that. You never know. So we got one more question before we let you get out of here. It says, why is good hip health connected to a longer lifespan?
It's because it's now from my research, it's just the time span that people have had after the surgery, is my understanding. Their lifespan after the surgery. Because what happens is, and it's sad. It's sad because after most people get surgeries, drastic surgeries, they get into a deep depression. And then you go to your PT, you go to physical therapy, and they give you some movements. But they tell you that you're supposed to do more movement, and most people don't. They get in that deep depression, and they just figure that's what it's going to be, and they just get back to the old ways because that's what they're used to. It takes a special person to get in the mindset that I just got through this surgery, got through this major injury, and I'm rebuilt. And now I have to focus on making sure that I can stay mobile. And that takes active practicing. And most people are not willing to do that. They're more comfortable being content with their situation. And that's what they're looking at. Those people that do that usually don't live as long as, well, to be expected or whatever. So that's where those numbers come from, in essence. And all of this that we're talking about, the body in motion stays in motion. This will always be true. When we get older, like we go to senior centers, they always have chair yoga and little mobile thing, little dancing and things of that nature. And then your doctor say, oh, you need to add a little more movement into your life. You're like, I'm 80 years old. Where am I going? I have a walker. What am I doing? I sit in this chair. What am I doing? This is what you have to put in your mind now. You have to keep moving. And it doesn't have to be a gym membership. It doesn't have to be a marathon. It doesn't have to be anything extreme. Anything drastically outside of what you've already done. A good thing to do is go back to something that you used to like to do. Jump rope dance, walks. People underestimate playing with your kids, but actual running and jumping with them, climbing with them. These things keep you young. So that's pretty much it in essence, is that they literally just stopped moving. And a lot came along with it. Then, they're taking a lot of pain medications, which also contributes to their mental state. A lot of those medications put you in a depressed state. And, you start contemplating suicide and things of that nature. These are things that happen. So you want to get around positive people and get more movement into your life. And I said movement. I don't like to say exercise because exercise is like a 4-letter word. So movement, meaning something that gets you up and going. It can be anything that you have done in the past. Dancing, put on a song that you like by yourself and act a fool. Act a fool. Just dance to that song for 5 minutes, 4 minutes. Get a long song. Get one of them old 70s songs where it have 2-minute interludes and dance to that song for 7 minutes. That's what you really need to focus on. Moving. Get up, add some more movement in your life.
That's the best way to culminate. Increase mobility, increase your movement.
Yeah.
To increase mobility, increase your movement. To do a short recap, we learned about hip health. We learned about posture and how to effectively sit better in your chair so that you can affect your hip health and overall health. We learned about exercises to stretch your hips, going behind the chair and stretching and sitting as far back in the seat as we can. And then we learned about flexing the hip in several ways and the different progressions to do that, whether you're laying on your back against the wall, whether you're on all fours on your bed and you're bending into the motion, or whether you're doing a wall sit and sitting as deep as possible or sitting on something lower than a chair. We learned about hip health. Then we learned about the lower back pain and how to assess it and how to strengthen it. And that led us straight into the core and how to strengthen your core with different variations of planks, different switching movements, And I even learned something new about the exercise that I believe was helping me get my core stronger. So now I know which way to do it. So now with all this information, Q, final question of the night before we let you go out of here in Temple Talk is, what is the ultimate goal? You said we spoke about movement. What's the ultimate goal for somebody that they may not be a calisthenic athlete, they may not run triathlons and marathons, they may not do 100 pull-ups and all those type of things, but what is a goal that everybody should be able to do when you start talking about mobility?
All right, this one I'm gonna address this one as a challenge to everyone. I would like everyone, as soon as immediately after getting off of this, I want you to stand up and get to the floor and lay down and get back up without using your hands. That is your goal. That is the goal. As simple as that may sound. Or some people was like, what?
Yeah.
Without my hands. But that right there is one thing that if you're able to do it consistently, can possibly make your life a lot easier. Meaning that you're able to walk better, move better, turn better. Because as simple as it sounds, it's actually pretty hard. I could demonstrate it to you just to give you an example. There's many ways to do it also, but the goal is to not use your hands. I'm gonna show it to you. This is this is me, all right? Okay, this is just me doing it. And John, we might have to put a challenge out and see if anybody dares to try it.
Oh man,
but this
you got me thinking about it.
Yeah, so this is goals, right? So we say goals. This is goals for you, and if you have to use your hands, do so until you figure out how not to. Now, again, I said you stand up, get to the floor without using your hands. How do I get up? I may have made that seem simple. Trust me. First time I tried it, I was sitting there like, how? I don't get it.
You did that to us in the park that day.
Yes. Being able to get up and down from the floor without using your hands is, I guarantee you there's 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds that can't do it.
Wow.
So if you're able to do it right now, or in the near future, you're ahead of the curve as far as being able to move optimally. And again, there's many ways of doing it. And if you want to dig deeper into this, shoot me an email and we're gonna work it out. I can show you some more tips on how to do it. Because remember, this is a long discussion.
Yeah.
I've kept it as simple as humanly possible. Trust me, because I could have been sitting here talking about the transverse and frontal and sagittal planes and all of this other stuff. But I wanted to keep it very simple and give you some things that you can put in action right now. So that's my challenge to you. Get up and down from the floor without using your hands.
My man Q, I'm telling you, we went through it. I wasn't, for some reason, I imagined you having to get off of your stomach. I don't know why my mind was like, all right, how is he going to do it? But then I remember you had us go through it where we had to turn and get and it was difficult. Some people took the rock and rock up into position to get there. But we got there. So it's not something where it's the end of the world if you can't do it. But it's, to your point, it is building a healthier body, because if you're able to do that, that means your muscle, your core, your back, your hips, your legs are all something that are working in line to do something that is incredibly difficult to do for some people. Right. Other things I would say that can to increase movement is get outside and walk. Spring is here, summer is here. Get outside and walk and listen to a book and go and walk around and enjoy some weather. Some good sunlight will do you some good. Some good water and a good walk would do wonders for your mental health, your physical health, for your hip health, leg health, all those things. I know old people that are sitting there walking now, and it just amazes me how far they walk. but they're in incredible health. So
yeah. And but when you take that walk someplace peaceful.
There you go.
Walk someplace peaceful. Don't walk into drama. Take the path of less resistance.
There you go.
Because you can literally walk into stress. So don't do that. Don't do that. Take the unbeaten path. Go through the woods or something like that.
Well, Q, man, I can't thank you enough. This has been another successful Temple Talk. You have educated us so well here. You gave us a challenge in the end, so now we know. So if you see some videos somewhere, some of us trying it, man, you know, I tell you right now, I know some few people that already tried it. So we go maybe tried it and failed. I'm just gonna say they tried it, but it's one of those things where we appreciate you because you have poured into us your knowledge and extensive knowledge, and we can't thank you enough. He's at Q France on all the social media platforms, and he is the man. He has helped out thousands at this point, thousands of people at this point for absolutely free. That's why I rock out with this guy right here.
Yeah,
thank you so much, Q, man.
Fitness is free, man, and then all of the education that I have. I'm more than willing to share it with everybody who's willing to listen, man, because my main goal is not money. My main goal is to change the world in a real way. And this is how I do that.
Well, brother, we appreciate you. This has been another successful Temple Talk. Thank you, everyone, for chiming in, for sending your questions and just being active in the chat. To all the family on YouTube, appreciate you. We got some more coming up. Make sure you go follow my man Q France and stay tuned for another Temple Talk. I'm John McLeod. He put his email in the chat. Hit him up, Q France Wellness LLC at gmail.com.
Yes,
excuse me, that's QJ France.
Well, no, Q
Wellness
France. I wrote it wrong. It's Q France.
Okay. Q France Wellness LLC at gmail.com. Q, man, I appreciate you and thank you so much for another successful Temple Talk. Thank you so much.